welcome each and every one of you. I'm Reverend Janet Childs, and I welcome you to the UCM Speaker Series, and along with Reverend Corky Whitaker, we are so delighted and just so happy that you are here, each and every one of you. And this is such an exciting topic that feels like there is such richness and such depth around it. And we are so honored to have our Reverend John Simmons. Now, let me tell you about Reverend John Simmons. He's probably one of the most spiritual people I know. He does incredible work with meditation, with prayer, and with contacting folks from, from the other dimensions. He's just amazing. And he's going to start us off, but we are going to have many people share about their experiences of making contact, whether that's with extraterrestrials, UFOs, energetic connections that we feel. It's about all of it. And before we start, I picked out this candle. I don't know if you can see the celestial heart right there. And I picked it because it's purple. Okay? I'm looking right at you, Annie, so take that smile in. This is Annie's favorite color, and it's also one of my favorite colors. And I think it's Corky's favorite color, too, and Dottie's favorite color. But the reason I chose this is for me, it's the color of transformation. And as I light this for each and every one of you, let us open up our hearts to each other. Let us take a deep breath and just let go of the day. Whatever the day has been for you, just let it go and get your whole body and spirit and heart present. And as we open up our minds to the dimensions of what we can experience with making contact with those beyond what we normally do, let us open up that discussion. Let us open up that spirit. And let's let go of our burdens for a moment so that we're just in the present moment. And we're just here with and for each other. Alrighty? And I'm going to put this candle right here. And John Simmons, if you need me to pull it up closer, I will. You just let me know. And I welcome our Reverend John Simmons.
Thank you, Janet. I am very honored and very pleased and spiritually energized.
She would accost in the ring and her love.
What's that?
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm really pleased and energized to be here with you. It's just a really wonderful energy whenever we can get together. I know we're together all the time, but we don't focus on it much of the time, and we probably should be focusing on it a little more. But that's not easy to do on this earth, so we'll keep working on it. But as much as I can tell you about my emotions and my spiritual energy and the love that I feel, it's all right here. So thank you, each and every one, because you bring it. You bring it and you share it, and I appreciate it. Let's see, when Janet asked me about UFOs, I haven't done much with them for quite a while, but for a long time, back in the 50s, the late 50s and early 60s, I did meet with them once a week. And they did talk to us. We met as a small group here in San Jose, and they did talk to us and tell us what they were up to and what they were trying to do. And I've heard lots of stories about UFOs, many of which I know aren't true in my own experience, some of which are true in my own experience. I used to work in psychiatry, mental health. That was my special field. I'm board certified in a bunch of areas, and mental health is one of them for treatment. And I would have patients telling me that they'd been taken here and taken there. And it was a good imagination, but it really wasn't factual. You could tell two ways: by what they said, because they didn't tell you anything, and also by their aura, too. You could tell that their aura was not looking clear. And so they were kind of floating around and making it up. I did have one guy, however, that did take a trip on one of the ships, And he was admitted to the hospital because he told too many people about it. And so they thought he was mentally ill, so they took him to Valley Medical, and I was working there. And I sat and listened to his story and realized he was telling me the facts. That was real. So after he got partway through his story, I said, now I'd like you to stop your story. I don't want to hear any more of your story. And I'm going to tell you how it ends. And I told him what happened to him from that point on. And he got more and more surprised. And finally said, you do know, don't you? I said, oh, yes. And so do you. I said, so when you're interviewed now and have to explain how psychotic you sounded when they brought you in, you'll explain to them you had a very terrible dream and it seemed very real. And now you're aware that it's not necessarily as real as it seemed. And you're okay with that. And they'll let you go. And they did. They discharged him that afternoon. But so once in a while, you'll find somebody who really has had the experience. But mostly you'll see people who haven't had it. They're just getting all excited. Now, before I get into anything else, I also wanted to share something I think is interesting. Lately, we've been hearing a little bit of stuff coming out of Washington, D.C. about UFOs and extraterrestrials. And for a long time, I knew they weren't telling the truth. They're just making it up. But just this last time I heard about it, they were telling the truth. Because what they were saying is exactly what the ETs used to tell me. We need to learn to love each other. We're all family. We're all part of this together. In this universe, this big, vast universe, we're all family members. And we need to treat each other as if we're special family members. We need to treat each other with love and with compassion and with support whenever we possibly can. That's what we need to be doing. And every time I met with them, they would remind me of that. Well, I just heard that they were talking about, in Washington, D.C., was talking about a meeting with some extraterrestrials, and they told them this very same litany. And I said, well, that's the real thing. So they really are talking to them now, but they weren't for a long time. I remember when Eisenhower was president, he was the first president to actually meet with them. They contacted him and said, you need to fly to Vandenberg Air Force Base. We'll be there to meet you. And we need to talk to you about what's expected, because you're now getting into space and you're sending ships into space. And we don't allow weapons or anything destructive on any ships going into space. You can shoot each other, you can bomb each other, you can beat up each other on the Earth, and that's your job. That's what you want to do. We're going to stay out of it. We're not going to get mixed up with it. But if you try to send anything into space that's any form of weapon at all, the ship will fail. We don't want anyone to die, but if there are people on board, they will go down with the ship. We don't really want that to happen. So we're asking you, don't send any weapons into space. Well, we tested that. Remember Macaulay, the teacher, and that destruction of that ship? That had some secret military stuff on it. It was designed for making a weapon in space. And it did fall apart and explode. And they were very unhappy about that. They said, we did not want the loss of life, especially innocent people like that. Only one person on that ship knew what was on there. None of the rest of them knew that there was military stuff on it. But that ship was not allowed to go into space. So otherwise, they'll let us do whatever we want to do. As long as we don't try to militarize space, we can do whatever we like. And they're very supportive of that. Yes, any questions? Please. I'm not hearing.
Yeah, okay. So I was wondering if the new Bezos ship that was destroyed, the most recent one, was that just an accident?
I don't know. I haven't been told, and I don't know anything. I haven't, unless I'm told, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Challenger?
Yeah. Right. There have been some ships that have failed. I don't think they had anything on them. It was just our mistake.
Yeah.
But at one time, I know for sure it was not our mistake.
Thank you.
Oh, and Donna had a question.
I did.
Yes.
We answered it.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, that was you, right?
The way they see us is we're all family. They see us as being all family. And this goes back a couple million years that we evolved off the family. When Meldeck, there was a planet between Mars and Jupiter, there used to be, and the name of that was Meldeck. That's what they called it. And it had two very strong cultural groups, and they were not real friendly with each other, but they did grow up together and lived on that planet. And one group was more farming and more agrarian, and the other group was more technical and more computer and all that. And so they got along by trading food for computer technology and all that. They got along. But then there came a time when one of them decided they should be in charge of everything. And they decided they were going to attack and subdue the other party. Well, of course, they both had a lot of weapons and stuff that they had worked on. And so the war that occurred ended up destroying the whole planet. It blew it apart, and now it's just rock, just pieces of rock, which was a little bit of a surprise. They predicted that could happen, but they didn't think it would happen. But they actually, the two cultures fought it out so intensely that they actually destroyed their own planet. So many of us, of our families, were brought here. We're all brothers and sisters of the groups in the saucers. We're all related, and so they brought us here, and we then genetically became involved with the animals that were here, that were not human, and we've become what you call in Sanskrit. The word in Sanskrit for animal man is human. So half animal, half man, or half animal, half God, if you want to call it that. Some people do. That's what we are. We're half animal, half God. Human, Sanskrit. That goes all the way back to several million years or more, when we were brought from the home planet to be protected here when it disagreed. They didn't know they were going to destroy the planet, but they were concerned that could happen. So a number of people were brought to this planet, which was called the Garden Planet. Earth has always been known as the Garden Planet in this solar system because it's always been very beautiful and green and even prettier than any of the other planets. So it's known as the Garden Planet. So they brought us to the garden, our families, our relatives, your relatives, to the Garden Planet to be protected. And sure enough, Maldek did disintegrate. So luckily, they still had a remnant of the genetics of our families from history. So I know other things, but I don't know what to share with you. But if you have any questions, if I know the answer, I'll answer it, and if I don't know the answer, I'll go, I don't know.
And I thank you, John,
Well,
because Donna Christensen has raised
Yeah,
her hand.
I'm wondering, John,
yes,
were there other beings here on Earth when
yes,
they were brought here?
yes. There were ape-like beings that had evolved pretty well. They weren't human, but they were highly evolved apes. And over time, we genetically interspersed with them. There was sexual activity, and some of the babies made it. And those babies are our great ancestors. So
What
we're
about
human.
Sasquatch? What about Sasquatch?
I don't know. I don't know about Sasquatch.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Probably a spinoff, I'll bet, but I don't know that. Yeah. So we're human. We're part animal and part God. Go ahead.
And I think Cheryl has her hand raised, and then Corky has her hand raised.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I wonder if you know anything about the Anunnaki.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read and I've heard different things about them, that they were here over 100,000 years ago, I think, and that they did medical experiments to create humans. And so I don't know if, like I said, if that came up in any of
Yeah, I don't know about that. I do know that the round ships are brothers and sisters, and the triangular ships are the bad brothers and sisters. So don't ever get on a triangular ship because they eat us. They think we're just like monkeys, so have one of us. So the Anunnaki and some of the other historical attempts to mix the genetics, as far as I know, haven't been very successful, as far as I know. But I don't know a lot about it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Corky?
Yes, please.
Corky, you need to unmute.
So I keep forgetting what the question is, and then I remember and I raise my hand, and then by the time it's my turn, I forget. So I will sit in wonderment and try to remember what it was. I've remembered it 3 times now, so maybe we have one more try.
3 times the charm, so it should work.
Thank you.
Write it down on a piece of paper.
Good idea.
If I remember to do that. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we're all here together, and as it's going to be like a flowing river, my friends. So we're going to share our experiences, with
That's
each
right.
other, and share our, and that's the real power of this, because we may all have a different perception,
Sure.
or different experiences to share. We want to hear it all.
Yes.
Cheryl.
I thought another question. Have they talked about, well, I guess a couple things. Have they talked about when they will reveal themselves to us? And are there some already here living on Earth interacting with us?
Yes to all the above. Yeah, they did meet with all of the world leaders when they met with Eisenhower. I forget what year that was, 61 or 58 or somewhere in there. They did meet with all of the world leaders the same 24-hour period, the same day, and gave them the same information. It's okay to do what you want to do, but don't take it into space, or we will not allow that. And then, as far as living here, yes, some are living here. I know of 6 skin colors and forms, human forms, that I know are space brothers and sisters. And one of them looks like a Swedish form. They're very blonde and they're tall and thin, and they fit well in the Nordic group. So they'll fit right in, and they're trained to get along pretty well. And as far as black, there are black ones. There are greenish hue skin. There's the pink skin. There's the really white skin of the kind of the Nordic. And there are a couple of others. So there are 6 groups that I know of, some of whom have members living here and working with our folks.
Do they talk about when they will let us know they're here, like the general population?
They'll let us know when our governments decide we should know. They don't get too involved in forcing themselves on anything. They're available. And so when we're ready and feel like we're ready and want to be ready and don't want to be violent and don't want to be pushy and don't want to be selfish and don't want to be all the things we are, anyway, then they'll be more open to cooperating with us. But they're feeding us information now. They're helping us through the media, through educational systems, through computer work, through the AI now. They're using that to help us educate us and give us information without making it really obvious that it's coming from them. They're trying to make it come from us as much as possible so that we'll accept it and learn it and not fight it.
Okay. Anne, you have your hand raised.
Yes, the one that you call the white ones, like the Nordic.
Yes.
Are they any relation to the Lemurians that live within Mount Shasta?
No, I think so. I don't know that. I think they're genetically connected to all the groups that live here. I think so, because they came to do that, to work here. So I think the answer is yes, but I've never been told that by them, so I don't know that for sure.
Well, the Lemurians are blonde and fair, so it's...
Yeah, right.
Well, and plus there's so many what seem to be visitations at Mount Shasta through the lenticular clouds and looking like a lot of motherships and round ships.
Yeah, there are a number of places. There's some under the ocean. There are some in the mountains, and there are a few places around where they have bases if they need to land and do something.
Yeah, the ones in the ocean, I've seen them go right into the, like Half Moon Bay and around there. When it's dusk, you can see them slide in under the water.
Yeah, right. they try to not get in the way of things, but once in a while they get caught.
You just have to be observant.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's just really crystal clear at Mount Shasta, at least for me, that they with those lenticular clouds, and I mean, I can just feel the presence.
Yes, absolutely. They're very strong there, and they're also strong down in the desert. There are several places where they really work inside the ocean too, but outside the ocean, there's some places like that. Every landmass has a few locations where they are. So that's all I know. If you have any questions and I have an answer, I'll tell you, and if I don't, then I'll be ignorant.
So I just want to invite us all to maybe share some of our experiences.
Yes, please.
Let's share.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from others.
Yeah. Annie?
Oh, your hand's still up, Ann.
So,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I raised it again.
Oh, Ann.
Yeah. Hello. It was a long time ago, and it's interesting the timing of when this happened, because it was about 6 months before Close Encounters of the Third Kind movie came out. But I was engaged to be married to my son's father, and I had brought him from California up to Oregon to meet my family. And I was driving on the way home on I-5. And what I noticed was that the traffic going northbound suddenly was no longer on the highway. There was like no traffic at all. And in the rear of my car, a huge white light that was so bright. And I cursed at it and said, dang trucks, and it went straight up into the air. And it seemed like we entered into what I would call like a time warp, where the same music kept playing. It was like everything was in a loop. And all I could see was just, the same, same trees going by. Everything looked the same. And my ex had fallen asleep, and his brother was in the back seat. And a few minutes later, that same light appeared back in my rear again. I cursed at it again, said dang trucks, exactly the same. And it went straight up into the air. And all of a sudden there was traffic on the other side. The song changed, and we were at the California border. So I don't know what happened. A long time ago, Dottie told me it was because they didn't want my ex-husband. So they sent me back.
Well, you got into one of the warps, I guess. They were probably doing something when you showed up, and we can surprise them. It's not like they're all knowing, They're pretty good at tracking all of us, but sometimes you can walk into or drive into something that is a surprise to them too. So they don't hurt us. They make sure we don't get hurt, but they may surprise us and maybe scare us a little bit. And some of our equipment may act crazy. Our car may stop running, or it may rev up, or it'll respond badly.
And then seeing the movie 6 months later, I really felt the face that that must have been what happened with us, or something similar. Yes.
Yep, I think so. Yeah. It's good to have these experiences because it proves to you that there's really something. In case you need the proof, it doesn't hurt to have it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else have an experience or a sense? Yes, Christine.
What part does blood type play in all of this? Because there's a lot of talk about O negative blood.
Yeah, well, I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse, so I've dealt a lot with blood. What part does it play? And are you thinking of the universal donor? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm O negative, and all of my cousins are O negative.
Yeah.
And we joke that we're aliens.
Yeah. We share blood, we share bodily fluids, we share chemistry with our brothers and sisters who are space people, because they are related to us. So we do have that in our genetics. Some people have more of it than others. And some people will be more resonant to the energy that they have than others. But we all do have it. It's part of all of us, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, is there any one blood type that aliens like better than others?
Not that I know of. I've never asked them. I don't know. I know O is the universal donor, but I don't know if there's any one type that's more. I doubt it, because I've seen the 6 different body forms. There may be more than 6. I don't know, but I've seen 6 different body forms that are definitely very much like black, white, yellow, greenish, bluish, pink energy. So I've seen these body types, and some of them are bigger and smaller, and some of them are heavier. So I don't know what the blood type is. I've never asked that question. It's a good question. Maybe I'll ask them sometime. I think I know we're all connected genetically. So I would say yes, the blood type is also genetic connection.
Have you seen the grays?
Seen the what?
The grays.
Yes, the grays. Yeah, I consider those whites, but there are grays and whites. You're right. Whites that are not as white. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I've heard that the Greys are like the taxi cab drivers of the universe. They're kind of, multi-purpose and do moving people around.
Well, I don't know. It could be. Yeah, that could be it. That could make sense. Yeah, they'd fit in most places pretty well.
Yeah, I remember when I first started living with Dottie and Sam, because they had a pool in their backyard,
Yeah.
and I'd be up, I could feel things around the house, and Dottie says, "Oh yeah, they're out there," and you'd look out the window, and something would kind of slip behind a bush, and you'd see them kind of move back into the shadows. It's like,
Yeah.
darn it. It was, but it was.
They would pick up that you're focusing on them. They'd feel that focus that you have.
Yeah. Well, and Dottie was like, "Oh, just don't pay any attention to them." It's like, well, it's hard not to.
Oh, well, yeah. They're just doing what they need to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, John, we do have a question from Robert Ingold, and he's not able to be visual or verbal. And he said, "Are you still in contact with the ETs?"
Not so much, although yes, some. But I don't have weekly meetings with them, and we don't have discussions and sit down like this and talk and all that. But there have been a few times where they have contacted me, yeah, but not much. Good question.
Yeah.
There's no need to. There's nothing I'm able to really do for them at this moment, and nothing they can do for me at this moment. So, there's they tend to not want to interfere with anything that's flowing along. If you're doing okay, they're happy with that.
Yeah, we when we were in Mount Shasta, Annie and I don't know who else would remember this, and we were doing some dancing. We were in the community room, and there was probably 30 of us, and we were doing some Sufi dancing, and all of a sudden this man and woman walked in, and they said that they were brother and sister, and they were in white and like Levi's, they had on blue Levi's and white shirts and stuff, and we had all kind of, we were down, we were talking about birthdays and that sort of thing, and there were two signs that we were missing, and it just so happened that they were those each one was one of the things, yeah. Exactly. And they danced with us, and it's like they're very congenial, and they were really nice, and then they just kind of slipped away into the night. So, and the people in town would say, "Oh yeah, they come in for to buy stuff and leave gold coins and stuff." So,
Sure. Yeah, they're probably working. They're working on something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then another time, do you know where the big sand dune is? And I don't know whether it's in Colorado or where the animal mutilations were there for years ago. and the great sand dune. There's a little town in there, and so we had gone there to look around, and it's really weird because there's no people. I mean, we saw no people, no dogs, no cats, no nothing. But it was obvious that people live there. But the air is real heavy, kind of heavy. It's a weird, the atmosphere is weird. And so just as the sun was going down, I said, Dottie, I want to see some of the aliens. And she said, okay, we'll pull over on the side of the road. We're the only people on the road. And she closed her eyes and she did something, and then all of a sudden, these balls of color bopped up out of the middle, out of the mountains, and they were just kind of dancing, and it's like they were showing off, and then suddenly, just as suddenly, these black airplanes, jets, and all the balls went down, and then one peaked up. It's just amazing how it's like they want to play, or they want to interact with you.
Right.
So anyway, it's I've had a lot of, not a lot, but enough encounters to know that it's real and that
Oh yeah.
a lot of things can happen.
Oh yeah. We're all relatives, and they sometimes will play with us if they're not busy.
If you're not going to mess with them, then they'll play with you if you're nice. If you say please.
Nice. We're
Donna.
not famous for being nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've also had that experience, Corky. So I just want to honor that.
Yeah.
They've come when I've asked them to come in a gentle way, and they've come in other ways too that I wasn't expecting, but always positive, always good. But that was my experience too. Little balls of different colors,
Yeah.
and they're colors that are not even really on this earth plane. They're ethereal, or
Right.
Donna.
Yes,
Donna.
I'm curious, John, regarding their spirituality practices. Are you aware of any?
Their spirituality practices?
Yes.
Well, I don't know about their practices exactly. I've never really joined in with them in a spiritual practice energy connection, but they're very spiritual, and they're very close to God. I did ask them that question. You reminded me of something. I used to ask them a lot of questions. They'd tell me lots of answers, so it was kind of fun. And one day I was with them, and I said, "Tell me about Jesus Christ. What was that all about? Did he really come to this earth?" Oh, they said, yes. That being you refer to as Jesus Christ, yes, came to this earth, as some of your documentation would indicate. Some of your documentation is not right, but much of it is, and he was here. Or this being was here. It didn't say he or she. This being was here. And this being came to every planet in the universe that has life on it at exactly the same time and stayed the exact same length of time.
Oh, interesting.
Now, did I take a breath?
Yeah.
Did I hear this right? He came to every planet that has life on it, spent the same length of time with the same message, and left at the same length of time. Yes, that was his job, to come to every planet with life and give the message. And he did that.
Hopefully they didn't all crucify him.
Yeah, I know. I didn't ask that. I'd love to have asked that question. I never got back to that. Maybe I'll ask him one of these days. I don't think they did. I think he was accepted differently on each one.
Thank you.
They're very loving and, listen to his message. But the fact he came to every planet with life on it at exactly the same time in the universe is impossible for me to imagine. I can't even make sense out of that.
It's hard to grok.
And
It's hard to grok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, John, what you said. And I want us all to take a deep breath and take this in. It wasn't he or she. It wasn't male or female. It wasn't, specific. So I really love that concept of opening up our awareness to beyond kind of sometimes the gender or the categories we put people in,
Oh yeah.
right? It's like
Yep.
I really appreciated that 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 postscript, and I didn't want for us to
Good.
miss it because
That's right.
so many times, I think we can, get caught in our perception, and it just helps me to also realize that the dimension of time, which is the fourth dimension, is really in play here. So it's like this being or this energy could be in all of the planets at all the same time because
Yeah,
they're beyond that dimension of linear time.
absolutely. Our language does not have what it needs to talk about this. We
Yeah.
don't have the words, honestly, and we don't have the concepts. Our concepts are still rooted in this positive, negative, male, female, energy, no energy kind of. None of that's factual. No, no. We're beings. We're universal beings. We last forever. We live forever. We've been forever. God created us before forever even started. So we're all part of that. But that doesn't
Absolutely.
make sense in our language, so we can't say it.
Yeah, it's hard to express.
Yeah.
Jan Ewers has her hand up.
Where did Adam and Eve come in all this? Were they two of the beings from the star
I don't.
people?
I've never asked them that question. It's my impression that that was a simple way to express God creating beings to create other beings, to be mother and father to other children. And so we talk about mother, father, God, but we still have a mother and a father when it comes to our history, our language history. And I think that's a little glitch of ours that we have to have in order to make sense of it. I don't think it's actually factual. I think we're all both men and women. If you want to call it that, we're all beings that have the attributes necessary to do the job or the life that we're living. And I've been non-human. I know. I remember clearly where I was not of any sex at all. That wasn't an issue. That we reproduced differently. We actually reproduced by six of us getting together and doing prayer work and visualizing energy and finally having it start to light and become a being. So there's a mother and father and the four other things. What are they called? I don't know what you call them, but they're mothers and father activities. So you're getting into areas that are hard for me to use language for. I can send the thought to you, but it's hard for me to use a language for that. Did I say anything? Did that relate to what you asked?
Sort of.
Ask me. Yeah. What else? What were you thinking?
I just wondered if they were part of the space people who came to Earth, or if they created them to be actually created here. I don't know how to explain what I asked.
Yeah, I know. That for the
It's
most
hard
part.
to talk about.
Yeah.
For instance, when I was on the ship, I found out that the pilots of most of the so-called flying saucers of the ships are female, but they're not necessarily female the way we think of it. But they think more like a female, and by that I mean they told me that they think more in a broad flow of stuff, not specific pieces like the male does here. But male doesn't do that everywhere, but here. So they said to me, they're in your language mostly females who fly the ships because they think in a more broad picture, whereas the ones who are fixing things and designing things and nuts and bolting things are more like the male people on your planet. Does that make any sense? There's no real, honest to goodness, male and female, except that God's not male and female, right? God is being, God is God. And we are too. But we take on that energy or that role or that focus, which then gets named that by our culture. Does any of that make sense to anybody or not?
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm seeing the nodding heads, John. And
Well,
Okay.
and and
Yeah.
more and more as we become, we people refer to themselves as they. They don't want to be considered male or female, thought of as just one gender. They want to be fluid, and so and as we try to, as a society, try to create that opening, there's a lot of fight. There's a lot of pushback on that. The people that think that men and women have a role to play and they should stay in their own lanes
Right.
are
Right.
really, they're having a hard time with this.
Yeah.
That played a role at one time for an evolving culture that was old-fashioned, or what do you want to call it, had to have that set of rules in order to move forward, they felt.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
that's no longer necessary here.
Well, there are
It's not-
times, sure.
it's not,
Yeah.
it's not necessary in most of the universe either.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember the question I was going to ask. We had a guy that used to study stars, Jim Marty Ptex, and he talked about that we're all made out of stardust. And I was just wondering, do you have any feeling about that? I believe in it myself. Of course, if we're all together, then we're all kind of made out of the same stuff. And if probably stardust would be not that bad of stuff to be made of.
As good as any. I honestly don't know how we're created. I don't know.
It made a great talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in some of that before I come into this form, the body form, because when we're there, not me, when all of us are there, we're not exactly in these forms. We're just beings. We're just a pure light energy. We don't have a arm and leg and all that stuff. I mean, you can have it if you want to, but you don't have to have it. But then when we come on to different planets or different energy levels in the universe, we take on the persona or the form of what's there. And so if you're gravitating to a light energy and sunlight, then your energy is not going to have arms and legs. It has energy, but it doesn't have that form.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Dottie talking about being in a form that had a big, beautiful tail and suckers, and you used to climb up to get into a building. You would climb up the building, with your suckers. That would be great. But she loved her tail. She said she really misses that. Anyway.
I love it.
So we have these forms that are available to us. We're in the creation of things. When we go to those places that you live like that.
Yeah.
I know. I always loved being born. I remember some of my pre-birth things, and I love it because you get to see the whole universe. Probably only a section of it, but it seems like the whole universe, and it's all this dark field with all these light energies, all these strings of light of different color going down and then ending someplace, like in a birth, and that person being born, and then that string disappearing until they come back again. And I used to love to go out and watch that when I could. All the millions of people or millions of beings forming. Anyway, that's another subject. Yes.
Well, no, I think that actually fits in with what we're talking about and having that experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I had done some past life work with Linda Singleton. Remember her?
Yeah.
Anyway, and she talked about going through like a when you died that you'd go through this like where all these you had to go pretty far, but you would join in a pool, and so every being, every life, every soul would be in this, and we'd all be like holding hands, and it'd be like a drop of water in the ocean. You're there with every drop of water in that ocean, whether you can touch it or not. It's all part of you all the time. And then how when you're called to come to Earth or come somewhere to get out of to be a being and in a living being, you just kind of like, then you splash out and go do it, and then you come back and you come into the pond, and it's such a good feeling when you put yourself in there, and it's like, wow, that is, it feels, why don't you want to do that all the time? I mean, it just feels so homogeneous.
Do that pretty much all the time anyway. You do. These lifetimes are real short. These lifetimes are instant.
You're right.
We call
Absolutely.
them a lifetime, but they're not. They're an
Right.
instant experience. And if we get enough of these instants of experience, we start to understand more of creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cheryl has her hand raised.
Yes,
Cheryl
please.
Lewis.
Yeah. Corky, what you're talking about is kind of bringing to mind a thought that I had about the soul and the physical body.
Huh?
So we're all acknowledging that we have a physical body, sort of a suitcase of our soul, if you will.
Yeah.
And our soul is a spark from the divine. So I wonder if you ever had a conversation with the aliens about when did someone get the idea to put our soul spark into our physical body? Like, how was our physical body dreamed up and created as a host for the spark?
Right.
Ooh, that's a good one.
My understanding about that is that our beingness is in God, in the creation of the universe. Our beingness is in God at all times. But we surround ourselves with different forms to have different experiences. So I may be a light energy today, and I might be a earth thing tomorrow, and I'm still getting that experience because I'm slightly separated. Not really much, really, but just slightly separated from the God self. Because if I wasn't, I would be in the God self, and I wouldn't know I was separate. Because, in order to know you're separate, you have to be slightly removed, and that's so we can have experience. That's so we can create something ourselves. Not that it hasn't been created before, but
Okay.
maybe we didn't create it before, so now we're getting to create it.
So
Yeah.
humans weren't always on this planet. The planet is, millions and millions and billions of years old. So at some point, humans appeared on the earth. And I don't know that it was a magic wand and somebody snapped their fingers and our human body showed up. So I wonder if there was an evolutionary aspect to our physical bodies, that we sort of crawled out of the primordial soup and evolved and evolved and evolved. And was there any assistance from any alien saying, "Hey, we want to put our DNA in this thing that's going to be the receptacle, the host for the spirit, for the soul"? Was that part of any happenings where they wanted to put their DNA in ours?
You're alluding to something that I do know and a lot that I don't know. But what I do know is that many of the families were brought off Maldek before it disintegrated and brought to Earth, and that's a long, many millions of years ago. And they lived here and then began having some genetic sharing with the ape-like animals that lived here, the Cro-Magnon men, the Cro-Magnon women, the animal beings that had beginnings of humanity but weren't there yet. And they had sexual activity, some of which resulted in babies being formed, most of which didn't go anywhere. But some of them did. And that's the group that we're talking about, we are, which is the human, the animal God component here.
Wow.
Us.
Okay.
Wonderful.
To springboard from that, did beings from the other planet that was destroyed, did they come here with a soul, or did that part happen after they mated with the ape-like creatures?
In other words, your question is, did we get formed after they came here? Is that what you're asking?
Did the soul arrive with the other beings, or did the soul go into the host after our human form was created?
I think, but I don't know this, so don't, I don't know a lot. But I think that the soul has always existed. Now, the reason I think that is because I know that when I've gone back to my place in heaven, my place where God wants me to be, I love gardens, and so I go to a beautiful garden. Well, more than one. I go to beautiful gardens, and I meet some of the other souls that are me, they're very, very close to me. They're almost me. We're almost exactly the same. And there are 5 or 6 of us. I think there are 6 of us if you count me. And we sometimes get together and spend some time in those gardens. And we are identical. I mean, you look at yourself and you're looking at me and I'm looking at you, but we're the same. The 6 of us. We're almost identical. There's slight differences, I guess. And we were created slightly at different times or different, there's no such thing, not time, but we're in the creation of things, we were created almost at exactly the same moment, but not exactly at the same moment. And so that makes us slightly different. But we love to get together because we have so much in common that we just are talking to ourselves. You know what I mean? You got 5 or 6 people who just understand so much what you're 100% of what you're trying to say and do. And so we love to get together whenever we can. Lots of times we have to be somewhere else, so we can't. But when we can, it's wonderful. Does that relate to your question?
Yeah, I think you said that the soul exists everywhere. So the beings from the planet that was destroyed arrived with their own souls in them.
Yes.
And then when they mated with the ape-like beings that were here and knew an infant was born, then that infant got their own soul.
Yes, I don't know exactly where that soul came from, but I think it came from the same place as all of us did, and the body didn't. The body was a creation of the 2 genetic backgrounds, but the soul that was in it was from where souls come from.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That answers my.
I love it.
Okay.
Stephen Riddle. We have several people now that are in the lineup, so this is exciting.
Yeah. I actually wanted to read the 2 questions that were in chat. One of them was from Ann Peterson, and the other one was from Joan Joan. I'm sorry, Joan. Anyway, Joan. So Ann asked, did they tell you they believe in God or a being who is overall creation? And that's very close to what you were just talking with Cheryl about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the term believe in God makes sense anywhere except on earth. Of course, God. We wouldn't be here otherwise. So to say I believe in shoes because I walk in shoes is kind of a nonsensical statement, Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Ann? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So Joan wants to know, are we making UFOs?
Are we building UFOs?
Are we building? I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Correct me.
Well, we're trying to. Yeah. We we have some UFOs that we've collected, and we've tried to make sense of them, but we can't make any sense of them because we don't have the depth of awareness to make them function. They don't function entirely on mechanical stuff. They function somewhat on the pilot, the person functioning with them, and you and your ship function together. And so we're not into that yet. We haven't gotten the new fighter, the 35, does have the little pickup units in the head to try to do some flying based on what the guy's thinking, but it's pretty archaic. But that's moving in that direction. Am I answering the question? What do you ask? Did you ask? Yeah, go ahead.
No, Joan is the one who asked it, but I think you answered her question. You're making me think of some stuff. But then other people have lots of things to ask, so I'll let them go.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like, I don't remember what the name of the book is, but when the dragon is born, you're there when your dragon is born, and you become one, you dragon rider or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was going to do the thing with but there's one more the chat, and so there's one from Robert, and are you still in contact with the ETs?
Yes,
That
we
was
already asked that.
Yeah, okay,
We already
good.
asked that.
Alrighty, and then I wanted to say that thank you so much. I mean, I know this isn't the end, but boy, this is really interesting. Thank you. Okay.
And
Somebody
I
else?
want to actually go back to what Ann Peterson said, and I want to again address the power of our language, how our language is very dualistic. It's very dualistic, and so it's hard to describe the essence of creation because we describe it in us and them, or that and me. And so what happens is that in all being unified but expressing in different ways, we come from that incredible unity. And so calling it God over, that's why I like the word creator, because I am creator and we are creator. The terminology can really make it difficult, I think, in our languaging. And Stephen, you had something.
Yeah, riffing off of what you just said, Janet, and said, we've always known about gravity. As long as there have been people on this planet, we've known about gravity. But all of a sudden, this guy called Isaac Newton gave it a name. He invented it. We've always known about air.
Right.
But we didn't really have a concept for air. We had a concept for spirit, we had a concept for wind, we had a concept for storm. We knew what breathing was, but we didn't have a concept for air. Part of what we're growing as a race is learning to name the things that we already know. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're naming things we already know. And I'll shut up.
That's a beautiful way to say it, Stephen. Yeah, absolutely. All righty, Cheryl, you're up again.
Where'd you go?
Sorry, this is you're just sparking my mind, and I'm going all different places with it. So I love the conversation, and it's generating all these interesting and fun topics and questions. So Jan, you were just talking about the duality, and Robert, the duality that's created in our language, and it made me think that I don't know that necessarily creates separation, but it definitely supports separation. Because we come from the dualistic thinking, we've got to put names and labels on everything that we experience in that duality. And so, but I'm wondering about health and separation. Is our use of the language of duality helping us create our illnesses, if that makes any sense? I'm going to the health aspect and saying, like, the aliens don't have that separation, is what you were saying. We have that separation, but so are the aliens, because they're whole. Do they never get sick? like we get sick because of the separation piece that we create?
I don't know. I don't know that they're all that much different than us in that sense. They're working on it too. They're working on understanding the oneness and living in the oneness. And that's not something you can always do when you're living in a dichotomy world like this one, where you have to have the dichotomy to make sense out of the world.
Yeah.
Sort of depends on where you are and where they are at that time. As far as I know, there's no real clear, I don't have a good clear answer for that. I wrote a little book. I'll give one to the UCM. I just had it published a couple months ago, and it's got some stuff in it. But one of the things that's in it is that we are light beings, and we live in a universe of light. And God creates all of this just because that's what God does. And in my book, I ask that question: if you're in a well-lighted room looking in the mirror and seeing yourself and seeing God and seeing the oneness, what happens when God turns out the light? And I'm not sure any of us have a good answer for that one.
Exactly.
You mean if we can't see if we can't see ourselves, then we may not exist?
Right. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions that came up through chat.
Yes.
Okay. Has the term star seeds ever come up?
Star what?
Star seeds.
Star seed. Yes.
Star seed.
Yes, yeah. Yes. In reference to our being seeded from the stars.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that has come up. And I guess in history, in long history, that's true. Is these beings that you're one of and I'm one of, at least in this form, in this body, with this spirit, are seeded from the universe. Yeah. That's right. Yes.
Beautiful. Now, Anne, you're up, Annie.
Okay. All of this talk about, the oneness, and Corky talking about us all being there with the lights lit, and Cheryl's questions triggered for me a book that my brother gave me a long time ago by Neil Donald Walsh. And where there's a being that's about to be born, being told that, you're going to meet me later on and you're going to get real angry at me, or you're going to be this way with me, but you're not going to do anything except accept that, because when you look at where do we really come from, who are we really? We are one flame amongst the many, and that we all are connected in that oneness and in that one flame. And Cheryl, it seems to me that at church at one time, you brought this book, or I brought the book, but we did something with it. But it's an incredible, to me, it reminds
Conversations with God?
Yes. Is it? No, it's not Conversations with God. It's a children's book that Neil Donald Walsh.
Okay. I don't know that.
I can't remember the name of the book, but it was a beautiful book. But it was a lot of what you were talking about, that Linda was talking about, that we're in this one place, and that, like, if your flame goes out, you're still part of the one. Your flame is going to light up again, and you're still going to be a part of that. And so this really brings about that kind of energy feeling for me. I just wanted not necessarily a question.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
It's like
it's little soul. It's little soul.
Right.
Little soul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I couldn't remember the name.
There we go.
I have too many books to look through, so.
Whenever I think of us as being like a family, I get that same kind of feeling. It's like we're all the same. We're all together. We can think different thoughts, but I know your hand, each finger is it's right there, but it's I'm sorry.
And so this is The Little Soul and the Sun, 1998. Thank you, Chris. That's beautiful. And I just want to again remind us that when we're using terminology that has been used in some religious institutions that may be difficult to take in, that we go back to what is our connection. So for me, my connection is nature. nature can immediately get me connected to that larger, energy. When I'm feeling separate, literally petting my cat, going out in nature, smelling the air, touching the earth. And I just want to honor that because there's such power in making that connection in the way that we find that's most easy and most powerful for us. Stephen.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Jen, for talking about uh, the, this religious thing, and we've got to be careful when we use religious terms and stuff. And when I've heard other folks talk about uh, extraterrestrials, and when I've heard other folks talk about angels, or you have it, they're all like doing this, like they're like groupies at a convention or a thing. They're going, "Oh, these beings are so wonderful," blah 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 blah. Well, yeah, they are wonderful, but they're just like us. They're muddling through, but they're just muddling through in a realm that seems so fabulous to us. You know, we've really got to be careful with putting things on them that they don't want to wear, I guess.
It is such a delicate balance, isn't it, Stephen? Such a delicate balance.
Yeah. Any of them have, Reverend John, have any of these beings ever had any like confessions or stories that you'd like to share with us?
No, I've never really sat down and said, "Tell me your story." It's always been just asking them questions and everything to give me answers. I haven't had a really social life with them. It's been more of me asking questions and them telling me what they thought or what they knew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, in this life, I'm certain there are other times, but of the recent times, although there are times, as we all know, that we'll hear a whistle, and that's when they're opening up the center.
Okay, I want to hear their jokes.
The jokes? Yeah. They probably have a great sense of humor, but I really haven't connected into it.
Hey, Stephen, maybe that's something for you to look into.
Yeah, I should, because I like a good joke. My brother was 8 years older than I was, knew thousands of jokes, or maybe millions. He knew too many jokes. And he never paid his doctor or his dentist anything when he had work done. He just told them jokes for their convention, and they loved it. And I once said to him, "I want you to tell me all the jokes you know." And after 3.5 days, I said, "I don't want to hear any more jokes. I'm burned out." He never stopped. So jokes do have a life of their own, and some people are just masters. I'm not.
I love it.
Yeah. He could have probably gone on forever. I don't know. Unbelievable. Salesman. He was in sales, so he knew every joke there was.
There's definitely an art to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. And the memory. I don't have that memory. Gee.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that I can't think of anything offhand? I know they're here because they love us and we're relatives and they want to take care of us and help us grow up. But other than that, there's no deep knowledge that I have I can think of.
I've thought of something else.
Yes.
Are we helping them in any way that you know of?
Nothing comes to mind. They're helping us. They may be helping us in the sense of improving their sensitivity to the weaker part of their being, you know. But I can't come up with anything deep and knowledgeable in that. So I don't know. I don't have anything. Good question. You know, what are we doing for them? I think they're just trying to help us get up to speed. What are we doing for them? I guess we're in the part of the universe that's still pretty dark, and as we become more enlightened, we can help with that. So we can work with them. maybe they're looking forward to having us take our place beside them instead of being their children almost, Yeah.
Wonderful.
Good
Thank
question.
you. Cheryl?
Yeah.
Cheryl has her hand raised.
Yeah. We touched on this earlier, but I just wondered if the reason that they're not showing themselves to us is because they are waiting for our government to give them permission to do so.
I don't know. That may be related. I don't know that. I think it's because our level of intelligence and wisdom is not high enough level that they can really work with us closely. I don't think we're quite ready for what they have to offer yet.
Is there have they mentioned any aspect of our government feeling like our technology is not sufficient to defend ourselves from them?
Oh yeah, if they were aggressive, we would not be able to defend ourselves. There's no question.
And so that concerns the government because the government can't assure the people, yep, we've got you covered. They can't do that. So
no,
they're not going to show up.
That's probably part of their decision making to not make it well known.
Yeah.
Probably. They're probably afraid that we'll get frightened and act crazy and go out of control or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we would not be able to resist what they have. We wouldn't even know how to start.
Well, I watched the movie Arrival many years ago, and our reaction to the alien ship arriving was arming ourselves and racing in there to shoot them up. And I thought that's exactly what we would do.
Yeah.
Foolish as it is, but that's what we would do.
Yep. And if you were in their shoes and showed up in some place and those people are acting like that, you probably would stand back too. And
yeah, probably.
Give them some time. Let them evolve a little before we get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not that evolved in that sense as cultures.
And so again, I'm going to go back to the dimension of time, my friends. And if we think of beyond the fourth dimension of time, we are all one. We have always been one, and we always will be one. Right? This is where it gets very difficult again with our languaging so it's like different aspects evolving, but it's all happening at the same time. So past, present, and future are all one. And it's very difficult. I mean, I'm not doing a very good job of expressing it at all, but it's like that moment where we can create that sense of, okay, we are all one all the time in every way. Stephen.
Yeah, Cheryl was talking about scary stuff, and Reverend John talked earlier about the two shapes. Could you talk more about those two shapes of the ships and which ones not to get on and that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yeah. The only thing I know is the triangular ships have people who are less evolved than we would like to be with. And they do see us as something to eat if they decide to have something special for lunch. Whereas the round ships don't see us that way at all. The round ships see us as brothers and sisters and children of them. Of the general group. And so the triangular ships are less to be trusted. They're not as evolved in my mind, probably as the round ships are. And the round ships are here to protect us. So sometimes triangular ships get through, but not much, not often. So that's does that answer that? Yeah.
Yeah. Where do they come from?
I don't know how to say that because they're planets and energies that we don't know about. Other places. And also, I'm not an astronomer either, so I would have a hard time probably even telling about which parsec it would be. But they are able to get here, and they are able to get through the defenses sometimes. And there's not real defenses, but they're able to get through past. They would be stopped by one of the round ships if they saw them or knew they were coming. but they can get through and they're tricky. Very seldom do they come here anymore. I don't know if they've been here. I don't know when the last time was. It's very seldom that they come here, the triangular ships. They know they're not supposed to be here.
And I just invite us. Yes, Christine.
The night of the election, this last presidential election, it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I said, "Oh, screw it. We're in trouble now. I'm going to bed. I don't want to have to think about this." So I
Right.
went to bed, and in my bedroom, there's a sliding glass door, and I had a dream that night, and I looked up into the sky, and I saw one of those black rectangular or triangular UFOs.
Oh yeah. Oh, in your dream?
But they usually a lot of times ghosts, or not ghosts, but people who've passed on, family members and people who've passed on will come to me in dreams. And in my younger days, I would have dreams periodically about UFOs and aliens, but then it diminished as time went on.
Okay.
I don't know what they wanted to tell me about the election or anything, but
Yeah.
I went out and I saw it and go, and then I remembered what you said about they want to eat people, so I hightailed it back in the house. Oh no, did they see me? I gotta get back to bed.
I can think how that may relate, but I don't want to say anything because I get in big trouble here. You let your imagination run. Yeah.
Stephen.
Yes.
So Christine was talking about traveling in dreams, and that wasn't exactly her language, but that's what she was talking about. And so there's bunches of people who do dream travel, or they do astral travel, that kind of thing. And do you know how that relates with with the people you talk about, the extraterrestrials, Reverend John?
In my experience, we're talking about apples and oranges in a sense. We're talking about physical form, ships traveling over distance using energy, using light. And in the other sense, we're talking about astral movement, astral projection, not using energy, living in the light, and being a part of that as we go, as wherever we go. And so those are two different aspects, I think, of life. One of them is more the physical form, the actual device, and the other one is the energy form. And we are both. We're energy beings and we're physical beings, both. And so when I talk about astral kinds of activities, I think in terms of not taking my body with me. I'm taking my spirit being, but I'm not taking my physical body. Whereas when I'm talking about the flying saucers, I'm going with my physical body as well. Does that make sense?
It does.
Ask me if it doesn't make sense. Ask me more questions.
Well, you can keep talking.
Well, I mean, I could talk all night.
Well, I'm just loving this dialogue.
Yeah, it's good.
Just loving this dialogue. Yes.
I am. I think it's very good. You're asking me things I haven't thought about for a long time, and I'm being reminded of things I've forgotten, kind of, and you're bringing it all back, and I appreciate that. It feels good to have some of that come back and think about it again.
Yeah. Well, we really felt called, to have this conversation. And of course, John, you were one of the first people that we thought of, to have it. Because I think just being able to express, our different perceptions, it's kind of like building a puzzle, right?
Yep.
And
that's right.
And also to be able to share our experiences in a non-judgmental, compassionate place.
Yes.
Because I think there's a lot of fear about sharing if you've had that kind of contact. there's a lot of fear about, will
Yeah.
I be judged? Will I be, as you said earlier, some of your patients that you'd seen in the hospital
Mm-hmm.
had
That's right.
valid experiences, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, our society isn't all that friendly lots of times, so it is easy to get people agitated if you come up with stuff that they're fearful of or don't understand.
Right.
In the ideal world, when we hear things we don't understand, we try to understand them, but in the real world, we become fearful and
Yeah.
pull back, So hopefully that's less and less.
Yeah. Well, I think just this evening, while we are all together, we're
Yeah,
making it less and less
that's true.
energetically by speaking it and by offering.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's true.
So we have a question here from John F. What
Yeah.
is the name of Reverend Simmons' book, and how can a copy be purchased?
Oh, I wrote the book, but I never remember the name. Okay, it's on Amazon if you want to get it. And let me go down and get the name, because just because I wrote it doesn't mean that it stays in my head. I just wrote it, and I've moved on. Uh, memories, medicine and metaphysics.
Memories,
Memories
medicine.
and metaphysics. That's the
Beautiful.
name of the book by Reverend John Simmons.
Did everyone
Yeah,
get that? Memories,
medicine
medicine, metaphysics. I love it.
and it's on Amazon if you want to get it for a pretty low price or whatever. And I'll get one for the church if they want it. I've
We
got
do.
pictures.
We do.
Yeah, I'll put one down there.
Beautiful.
It's just, it's nothing, honestly, it's nothing fantastic. It has a few articles in it that are kind of what we're talking about a little bit, not a lot. And then it's got stuff about growing up and living on a farm and all those things that some people have experienced. Probably some of the stories are ones like you've experienced in your life, and some are ones that your father may have experienced because maybe he grew up in a different environment. So it's kind of a broad spectrum of stories. All true stories, all factual.
That's wonderful. And thank you again, Chris, our wonderful Chris Brown. Put it right there in the chat for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And so every time, we sometimes I would offer that as we take a look at what might be experiences that you can't quite explain, and you might not
Yeah,
put them in this context, but we would love to hear, have there been experiences that you can't quite explain? Like Annie was talking about earlier, where there was a lapse in time. There was a lapse in, there was like a loop going on. And sometimes we might not identify that as connection with, beings other than our own, species. But, I'm interested, has
one of
any.
the articles in the book talks about that lapse in time. And back in the 50s, when they were trying to get our computer technology up to speed, they were finding that there was missing time in the universe. The computer kept shutting down and saying, "There's missing time." And they're going, "No, that's not possible." And the computer's saying, "Yes, it is. We can't. There's a full day missing." So one of the guys, it's in the book if you want to read it. One of the guys that was an engineer happened to also have a little biblical background, and he found a couple of places in the Bible that added up to exactly the right amount of time to allow their computers to be updated, so that they now they don't have that problem. But the answer to it was in the Bible. They didn't have the answer to it in their mathematics or their studies. The engineers couldn't figure it out until they went to the Bible. Then they got it figured out. And at that time, I remember I was interested in that kind of thing, living in Mountain View. And I remember it shook up the community quite a bit. Some of the engineers went back to Christianity and back to Judaism and said, "We need to reconsider this, Maybe there's something to it."
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the articles.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was in the newspaper, and it was well known at the time, back in '72 or whenever it was.
Wow. Annie,
So what this just came flying through my head, Men in Black.
Yes.
Can
Yes.
the Men in Black, can you discuss that a little bit, or what they're about, or if they're,
Well, I get the
are they
biggest kick.
aliens, are they not aliens, or, whatever, right?
I get the biggest kick out of them. Bob Short, the guy who was connected to the saucers a lot, and he was kind of my teacher, and he was the guy that was always connected to him. A lot of the people from Hollywood went to meet with him and get ideas about what they could write for science fiction stories. And his wasn't fiction, his was real, but they were basing it on that. And so Roddenberry and he got to be good friends, and they were really good buddies. And you'll see Bob Short's name at the end of some of the movies as a contributing editor or something. And so some of this information that we get out of Hollywood, which is a little out there, is based on real, honest to gosh truth. I mean, they went to the source and said, how does it really work? And then they puffed it up, and made it into an interesting show. So I don't know personally that whole Men in Black. I haven't seen all the Men. I saw one, I think, Men in Black. I think there are like three of them. I saw one of them, first one, I think. And it was cute. It was great, but I didn't know anything more than you do about it. It just was an interesting show.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, John, what do you find, just in your gathering of this information? And by the way, I really want to honor and acknowledge your courage for making this public.
Oh, yeah.
By your publications, by your willingness to be, because there still is a great deal of fear and a great deal of hesitation.
Yeah.
People in talking about their experiences. So I really thank you for being willing to say, hey, this is what I found in my experience.
Yeah, there are people who people go like this to me, which is fine. I don't expect, every generation has its strengths and weaknesses. Anyway, you were saying?
Well, I was just saying that. Thank you for your courage.
Yeah.
And thank you for the courage of each and every person that's come on
Yes.
this Zoom meeting. I mean, thank you. It really is powerful to hear the questions and to really delve into this. And so just want to really thank you for that.
Well, it takes courage to be UCM, really, because there are a lot of people who are frightened by it, and we don't want to scare anybody. I try very carefully not to scare anybody, but sometimes when you say or do things, it does scare them. So try not to. So we're all kind of dealing with that. I think if we're involved with UCM, we're having to kind of explain things to people in ways that they hopefully can understand.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, I that's what I love about UCM, actually, is our ability to hold space, for it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
For wherever you are. And I love there's a couple of folks that are atheists that are UCM ministers, and I'm just so proud of them. I mean, they're stating their belief structure.
Sure.
Right? But they're offering healing, and they're offering, support in a lot of different ways. And so, each of us, has that opportunity to be fully ourselves as we evolve.
And sometimes we have to go out on a limb a little bit, where, like, I was at a party where this girl who'd been murdered was a sister of one of the people there, and she wanted to see her sister through my eyes. She said, I can see her from my energy, but it's not the same. It's not like seeing her through eyes. Would you let me come in and look through your eyes to see my sister? And I was willing to do that. It was a little edgy, but, it worked out okay. She didn't try to stay, didn't want her to try to get hooked in or anything. But she really appreciated it. And then she told me a couple of things that no one could possibly know, except she and her sister. And she said, let my sister know I was here and tell her this.
Wow.
Hey, John, can you talk a little bit more about how you did that? Like, what was your process for sharing space with her?
Yeah, I've done it quite a few times when I speak. When I've spoken before groups, I will sometimes move out of my body and let that person come into my body. They don't come all the way in. I'm not all the way out. I'm just kind of over, if that makes any sense. So there's room for them to get in. And that's what I did for her. I said, I'm not leaving. I'm not going out. I didn't trust her I didn't want to have to deal with that part. But I said, I will let you in enough to look through my eyes. And she was able to do that, come in far enough to see through. So when I speak, sometimes the teachers will come in and I'll just move over and let them speak. And then I'll come back and get credit for it. When I say I don't deserve any credit, they go, yeah. Well, I don't, because I wasn't talking. They were. But so I don't ever let them go all the way in. I just visualize and energize myself with light. I see the light surround. I usually do 3 times because that's my habit. And then I just move over inside my body with my light energy and let them come into the body enough to do what they want to speak or to see. Does that make sense? And then when they're done, they move back out, or I kind of push them back out if I have to, and come back into the full body.
That's fascinating. And my follow-up question is, so she was somebody who wanted to see something. I get what she was trying to do. You've also mentioned teachers. And I understand teachers, it's basically a method of channeling, having teachers come inside. And I wonder whether there are other examples of kind of the matrix that you allow in. I love what you've said here and wanted to just pursue it just a little bit.
I think Robert Ingold, if he's here, might speak to that if he can speak, if he's here, because I think Bob does some of that, and the other Bob, who we worked closely with for so many years, used to do that as well. I remember when he was first learning, when Bob Ferguson was first becoming psychic. He was an engineer. He and Reverend Early were engineers, and they came to Pearl's church, Pearl Wilkinson's UCM church, and said, we'd like to learn how to do that. She said, good, sure, come on in. And so she worked with them intensely for a number of months, and they became pretty darn psychic and pretty darn open and able to speak really well by having teachers come through to them. And so I think Bob Ingold learned some of that from Bob Ferguson, if he's still here and wants to speak about it. Did I answer the question? And ask me the question again if I got off. Did I answer it?
Well, I was saying earlier that you had mentioned having teachers come in, which feels a lot like one method of channeling. You also mentioned bringing in perhaps a grieving client. I understand that. And I was wondering if you had some other examples besides those 2.
Well, there are lots of examples when I've been working with people who have come in and have died unexpectedly or in violent circumstances, warfare and that kind of thing. There was a period where Pearl and I and about 10 to 18 other people would meet once a week on Wednesdays, almost once a week, almost every week. And the teachers would bring them in, and we'd have a circle. And the teachers would bring them in so that they could tell the difference between us and them. And they would touch our body. They'd touch our cheek, touch our face. I could touch my hair. You could feel them touching. And that was letting them know that they're dead, because they didn't understand that they had transitioned. They didn't really get that. And so they were showing them that. And one night, one late afternoon and evening, this one guy came in and he had no leg. He had a leg, lost a leg in a war thing. And so he was hobbling around. But he had both legs, because you have both legs in the spirit. But he didn't believe he had both legs, so he didn't have it. And so he came over and felt our legs and felt his leg, and finally caught on that he really did have 2 legs. And then he was able to walk after that. But it took touching us for him to really get that, to really understand it. And so that was one of the services that Pearl offered to the spirit world, to help them with some of their people who were having a hard time understanding. Did that answer the question?
That's beautiful. And I just heard from Robert Ingold. He said,
Yes.
good old Bob Ferguson has come through other mediums in trance in our seances. So there you
Yes.
go.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful persons, all of
Yeah.
them. Really
Yeah.
beautiful people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did that answer the question? Or not?
Yeah, that was lovely to hear. I thank you for sharing that.
Okay. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, John, but I'm just bathing in this.
Oh, me too. I
I
love
mean,
this.
it's
I love
like,
it.
this is so rich
Yeah, it is.
and so multidimensional. And I often think of, Chris Brown, when you
Yes.
came up, just my history with Chris is that, we've been through a lot together. And I'm just thinking about channeling, and you've gone back to, you've gone deeper into your traditional Judaism and Jewish roots, and a lot of the inspired statements. I mean,
Mhm.
what do you think about that? I guess I'm asking you, Chris.
You're asking me about the channeling part?
Yes, yes.
Well, I've been around Dottie's crew for 13 years, actually much longer, but I've been around UCM for 13 years, and um, let's just say Corky and I go way back. Let's see, Corky, it's 42 years right now.
That's amazing.
So
Yeah, Corky is checking on Dottie, by the way. That's why
okay,
she's not on screen.
Good.
Corky and I go way back. So I've had this around, and I have other venues as well as most of you guys have as well. You have other venues besides UCM where you experience the light work. I'm just going to call it. I think we're all light workers. It's hard to be in UCM and not end up a light worker.
Yes.
So I'm intrigued by John's specificity in the moment about his mechanics. It 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 gives me something to try next when I'm sitting back with nothing to do. Um, and
Yeah.
the only comment that I have, I think, is whatever we do, we need to always make sure we're doing it safely. We
Mhm.
take care of ourselves, we take care of the people that are around us, and we take care of any other person, place, or thing that could possibly be affected. But at the same time, um, I believe there's tremendous service rendered to all the planes, right? All the different planes that are being acted upon. And I truly believe in intention. I truly believe that whatever it is that we're trying to do, that's what comes through, as long as we're approaching with humility and appropriate, appropriate sense of whether we should be doing it or not.
Yep.
So those are the
You
kind
live,
of I like safeguards, and then
Yeah.
go do. Put in your
Right.
safeguards and then go do.
you
I
live in
love
the
that.
light. You live in the light, and you offer service. That's all you're asking. You don't ask for anything back or anything more. Just allow me, if you wish, to serve, and may I serve in the light, always in the light. And I've had some very dark beings try to come through that, and all that happens is they get surrounded by the light, and either are happy with it or not, and they may stay or they may leave. Usually they leave.
I think
And
one of the things that's particularly important is what you're describing, John, and again, what many of us do here on the call. It's not on the usual menu. It's not on the menu of the hospital or the nurse practitioner. It's not on the menu of, the healing practice. And yet so many people are working within we'll call them commercial healing practices, and
Mhm.
to be able to encourage people to come out from, come out from behind the shadows. This is your gift. This is what you know how to do. And it doesn't mean that you advertise, but at the same time, I do encourage people to make it available. Again, safeguards are really important, but also at the same time, our light and our vision and our, if you want to call it prophecy or whatever we do here, our light is really important to the world. So
Yes.
what is it that we can bring? And John, you're talking about, service. I completely with you that my task, right? My commitment is to serve. Um, I don't know why this keeps coming up, but it's, the oxygen mask, right? You still got to do it the right way.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You got to
Sure.
make sure that it's not ego driven. Make sure that the client, the patient, the people involved are informed appropriately and all of that kind of stuff. But then once you have that, the places we can go, it's a big Dr. Seuss thing, right? The places we can go. And I so appreciate my history of being able to fly with other people who can take me flying.
Yeah.
And all of the other things that we do. So yeah, go do. Be safe, but go do.
And I really thank both of you for, and I kind of put the little questions to you, Chris, because I was hoping you would say that exact thing. We need to be careful and put in our own protection, and set the energy space so that we are safe, and that those around us are safe. And John, that's what I hear you saying too. It's like we create safety for everyone, and that's the powerful gift I believe we can give as a reminder to myself, because sometimes I can get excited and go headlong without doing that. And so it's really good to be reminded.
We have the right. You have the right to call on the light. We have that right because we're light service people. We're light servants.
Wow.
And there were times when I worked in mental health that they would ask me to go see someone who had a gun and who was going to kill everybody and would do all that stuff. And I'd go to their door and shine the light through and surround them with light. And when they would open the door and stick the gun in my face, I'd say, put it in the drawer, because if the police see it, they'll take it away. We need to talk. And every time they would let me in and sit and talk with me after they put the gun away. This happened many times. And so, I had a guy who was going to kill one of the nurses, and it happened so fast. All I could do was visualize the light. And I was all of a sudden the big person I used to be a long time ago, like 18 feet tall. And he looked up and he saw me. And he got so scared he ran back and ran to his room. And then I came back to myself. And the nurse turned around at that moment, and I was back in my body. She said, I guess I scared him. I said, yeah, I think so. We better go lock his door for now and talk to him later. She had no idea that it had even happened, but the patient certainly knew that. So these things are real, and they're there for us. It's part of God's energy that we're allowed to use if we need it to do God's service.
Wow. And so this is a reminder, I think, for each and every one of us, to share those moments, John, to share those moments.
Yeah.
So that we can learn from each other and how they might show up for us, and to honor our experiences and not discount them, but gather the energy we can from them and then, move forward. I think this is so important, us sharing these experiences.
One more thing I'd like to share, which you probably already all know, but it still doesn't hurt to share it. If we are being attacked spiritually, which sometimes people have tried to do that, to attack me spiritually, because they've gotten away with attacking other people spiritually, I encircle myself 3 times in the light, and then I visualize the light on the outside being all mirrors, and they receive back what they send. And believe me, they stop sending pretty soon. Kind of ruins the fun, because they're getting all back, reflected back to them. So make them in handy if you need it sometime, working with people who are a little negative and a little controlling.
Beautiful. And it's important for us to be grounded, I believe, in our own light, in our own groundedness, in our own flame of protection, and to do that on a regular basis. And I know one of the things that I have learned over the years, I don't do it perfectly, but that I do when I'm not grounded and I'm all over, it does not work for me. So even just taking a breath, I know that sounds so simple,
Yeah.
and opening up my heart and calling for help when I need it, when maybe I can't do it myself.
In through the nose, out through the mouth. In
That's
through the
right.
nose, through the mouth. In through the
Yeah.
nose, out through the mouth. All done.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. This.
I was wanting to ask about general safety rules. You know, every job I've worked, I've been like a safety officer.
Uh-huh.
So that's the kind of thing that you're talking about. I'm enjoying it. So could you just keep on talking about safety, please?
Well, what aspect of safety are you referring to? The kind of aspect I'm talking about is the energy that you bring into the circumstance.
Yeah, that actually is the kind of thing, but also the protecting yourself.
Uh-huh.
I really like, uh, and also dealing with the people that you encounter on the street,
Yeah.
and maybe just beings that are, surprise you. You don't know they're there, and all of a sudden, you go, oh my God, oh shit, or whatever, they're there, and you've
Yeah.
got to do something, and that kind of thing. Or even when people try to get you to, it can be as simple as people trying to get you to say things, for they've got an ulterior motive. If they can get you to say something that they can't say themselves, and maybe it shouldn't be said at all, that kind of thing. Uh, uh, I have a specific example in my, that I don't know if there's any analogy to this, but when I worked for PG&D, I got called to go to a person's house, and she wanted me to tell somebody that she wanted to kick out that her house was unsafe because of the stuff he was doing, which would have been wrong, 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 right? So, but I think people do this with us light workers. They try to get us to do things that we don't want to do or aren't supposed to do. And how do you deal with that?
How do you deal with that? Yeah. Well, sometimes people try to get you to do things that they want done, but they don't want to do it themselves, obviously. And so what I try to do with them is I try to see them visualize in light. And they usually try to get away from me because they don't like the feeling. They're not sure what I'm doing, but they don't like it. But before I visualize them in light, I do visualize myself surrounded at least 3 times, balanced in light, so that I'm stable. So I can move in any direction, but I'm still totally stable, and I'm protected. And if I need more intense protection, I can also put the mirror up too. But I usually don't do that because that scares them and it makes them afraid. But I visualize myself in light first. I balance myself in the light, and then I visualize them in light. And they are either able to accept that and listen to me, or they just want to get away from me. And if they want to get away from me, I let them go. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
What's wrong, Janet?
Oh no, I think somebody is at my door, so I was trying to mute so that.
You want to go check?
Why don't I check it? It looks like he's.
Yeah. We can get by for a few minutes without you.
Alrighty. We're just about ready to wrap up, though, too.
Make sure you
So.
come back. Make sure you all come back now. You hear?
That's right. Hold on.
Okay.
Stephen, I would add one thing. Sorry to jump in on you, John, but what my teacher used to say or says is you have to decide who is the requisite angel. Am I the requisite angel? Just because I can doesn't mean I should. And just because I have the ability doesn't mean it's mine to do. And I'm not suggesting, when it is and when it isn't. But the question, am I the requisite angel, can be really helpful.
Sure. Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Good point. Absolutely right.
Janet is smiling. And
Are you
Janet
back?
is muted.
Thank you. I apologize.
No
Someone has
problem.
evidently sent me food, probably Corey.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Anyway, my friends, I just want to say with what deep gratitude, we have for you, John, and for each and every one of you for what you've brought tonight. It feels like opened up doors. And I feel like we might want to even have a part 2 coming up, to even explore this on a deeper level. And
Thank you so much, John.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
Okay.
so, my friends, remember, join us next month. We're going to be talking about the power of prayer, and it's from a Tibetan Buddhist tradition that we're going to be addressing. So come and join us next, Tuesday, July. I'm not sure what, it's the second Tuesday in July, and this is just such a wonderful time. And be gentle with yourself as you absorb all of this, okay? As you absorb all of what we've talked about, let it settle, let it sit, and allow yourself to meditate upon it and realize that, we are just in some amazing times, and we have an amazing community where we can come together and be together. And be gentle with yourself. There's a lot going on in the universe right now. And great, great gratitude to you, John. Just
God
great
bless you.
gratitude.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And my great gratitude as well.
Thank you.
Great talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Questions from
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye all.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you, Chicky. Blessings to all.
Blessings, blessings.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.